Recording in progress.
All right, Council, you ready? Good evening and welcome to the Federal Way City Council meeting for February 7th of 2023. Excuse me. Would you all please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, it's great to see so many people here. All right. Okay, Mayor's, let me just wait for a sec. We've got the Mayor's Emerging Issues and Report. We've got the State of the City address at the Performing Arts and Event Center next Thursday. Again, at the Performing Arts and Event Center. That's February 16th. Doors open at 5:30, and then we'll have some performances. And I was actually talking to Dr. Pfeiffer with the school district. We're going to have some school performances and some young people, and then I'm going to get to talk a bit. We'll have members of the community, the council. We're going to have quite a number of tables out in the lobby at the PAC, so get there early. So city departments, other local governments, and nonprofits in the community are going to be there. So, and then we'll also have that as afterwards as well. And Pam, are we doing cake? Is there going to be cake in the back? Cookies. All right, we're going to have cookies. So, and Steve, you're in charge of making sure I don't have one of those. Okay, so it's a great opportunity. You know, I think actually I was just talking to the newspaper earlier today, and I was talking to people about this. You know, I think what happens in a community, and we've got a great newspaper that serves our community in the Federal Way Mirror, but sometimes we hear about something going on either regionally or locally. Maybe that's something that has brought some of you here tonight. You hear some news about one particular thing. I think what's great about the State of the City address is it's really an opportunity to kind of hear the whole package, how a lot of these things sort of fit together, what the vision is moving forward. And so I hope you can make it. I'll try not to talk too long. All evidence to the contrary, right? Right, Steve?
I thought it was 3 hours.
Exactly. Okay, so it's short but sweet, and cookies at the end. Thanks, Pam. Okay, so 5:30 doors open, 6 p.m. the speech or entertainment. And I've got a really cool thing, guys, I want you to see at the very beginning. Okay, testimony on, we had the City Council Annual Retreat report from January 21st. It was on a Saturday. Breakfast was great. The bacon was good. The conversation was excellent. And I have to tell you that sometimes we hire, and the council is going to talk about their experience, but sometimes we hire facilitators to help us with our discussions, and the council with their discussions and vision for the future and their plans. I actually think it was a really well done. I appreciate the staff and the council for their very deliberate and thoughtful comments and collaboration. So really an opportunity to talk about the future and where we're going as a community. So that was great. I actually went down to Olympia. Mayor Farrell traveled to Olympia to testify on 1363 regarding police pursuits on February 1st and last week. And it was a great opportunity to really call on our state legislators. Bills, that bill was in the House. And it was really a great opportunity to talk about what has been occurring in our state. We've had, just in the city of Federal Way, we've had almost a 60% increase in car theft from 2021 to 22. And that's because we're not allowed, the police are literally not allowed to pursue offenders for most crimes unless they've got completed probable cause. It's really Orwellian and beyond comprehension that police are not allowed to do this. And so I went down there, testified against it, testified in favor of the provisions to amend that law. And I was down there with several other mayors, and the Association of Washington Cities was well represented. I was on a panel. I believe it was the mayor of Bremerton that testified on that one. That's a critically important bill, House Bill 1363. Hopefully it'll get through to the Senate, but we need to restore some common sense in regard to pursuing people. In fact, most of the robberies, when the chief calls me about a very serious incident, normally, you guys, when a very serious, violent crime or any kind of fatality, it doesn't matter what time of night it is, when my phone rings in the middle of the night, I know it's the chief. And something horrible has happened in our community, I get a phone call, and I can tell you that when I receive these notifications, almost every one of the robberies and burglaries that we get notified of occur with the use of a stolen car, and they really do evade detection and capture, because they're literally driving around in a stolen car, and it's even if we get a plate, the car is ditched in a nearby community or shortly thereafter. And so it's something that we're really doing everything we can to get this law fixed to make our community safer. And then also, was it yesterday? I was down in the, it was Monday. It was just yesterday. I was down testifying on the drug issue. There were two bills down there in Olympia. Let's see if I can do it from memory. 5536 and 5467. At those numbers, those tell you those are Senate bills. And there were those would be to add, to essentially fix the drug laws. When the state Supreme Court 2 years ago came down with the Blake decision, they ruled that our drug possession laws were unconstitutional because they didn't have really the required intent element that somebody intended to possess that. That meant that every drug possession, or that meant that our not only was our statute unconstitutional as it was written, it also invalidated all prior drug convictions for possession. All, cocaine, heroin, methamphetamine, felony amounts of marijuana. And so all of those have been essentially reversed, and that's a huge undertaking by the state. But moving forward, this council actually passed an ordinance to make it illegal, and in the absence of an applicable law, this council passed a law to make it a gross misdemeanor to possess an illegal substance, knowingly possess. Now, normally, I'm not going to get too far into this, but what happens with regard to drug law in the state is the state legislature has preemption. They're the only actor that can pass drug laws because it's written into the RCW Chapter 69. So what they did last year was they did the fix, and the fix essentially was that you have to have 2 prior warnings to be in possession of a drug, of a dangerous drug, of a Schedule 1 or 2 narcotic, or hard drugs, and only on the 3rd time can you be arrested. Well, here's the problem: there's no database, there's no tracking. It essentially has resulted in a state of de facto legalization of all possession of drugs in our state because it's an unenforceable statute. That's what I went down to testify about yesterday. So hopefully we'll get some movement on that. It's called the Blake fix. If they don't fix the law in June, at the end of June, there will not be a drug law. It'll revert back to the unconstitutional law, and therefore, then there actually is one of the bills that was presented in the Senate bill. The chairperson of the Senate Law and Justice Committee was actually proposing legalization of all drugs: cocaine, methamphetamine, heroin, fentanyl, for, quote, personal amounts. I've got my own feelings on that. That's not why I went down there. But the provisions that I was down there for those 2 bills would make it a gross misdemeanor. But and that would mean that we could handle it in municipal and district courts. And if they did that, but if they completed treatment, then it would require dismissal, which is exactly what we want. We want people to get better and to get that. So that's what's going on at the state legislative front. A lot of housing bills going on down there. So I will probably go down there and testify about that. But it's very important for us to lean forward and get some of these very important fixes. And the council, just to let everybody know, asked me to draft a letter to our legislators about housing policy. That letter was sent, and we're working on that. Okay, sorry, I didn't realize I was going to go on that long about all that. So we had recent events. I actually spoke to the Kiwanis on January 18th. Thank you for having me, Kiwanis members. It was a lot of fun over at the, what's the name of the restaurant again? What's that? Yeah, exactly. Where the Harvester used to be, exactly. Anyway, it was great, and it was good talking to my old friends with the Kiwanis. I went and read to a schoolroom of fourth graders, St. Vincent de Paul. That's always fun. And it was snowing really hard. That was the day last week when it was coming down really hard, so they were pretty excited. We were there, the council members and I were there for the Federal Way Memorial Field groundbreaking ceremony. That field has been there for 50 years. You probably played on that field, didn't you?
I actually played the first game on that turf when it opened.
Did you really?
Yes.
Wow.
362.
Notify the press. All right. So anyway, think about that. So this field, when the pictures, my son plays for one of our local high schools, and we've been watching him there, and it's going to be really fun to see a new stadium that will be there for decades to come. So that's a lot of fun. Let's see. We had the multi-service center groundbreaking and commencement ceremony for the Silver Shadow Apartments for affordable housing on our community. That's just about 276th and Pack Highway. And then we had the gun buyback program, which was a total success. Chief, thank you to you and your team. We were able to, we utilized $25,000 of general fund money and received 190 firearms, several of which were what they call the untraceable ghost guns, which are the result of 3D printing, some assault rifles, and we had varying degrees of compensation. And we almost timed it just perfect because actually when I showed up, you guys, and I had several of the council members showed up as well, on 333rd here, we had everybody stay in their cars and they kind of looped around. And when I turned to come to City Hall that morning, it was lined up, not only, backed up, or almost all the way back to the light on First Avenue. So it went, I think about half hour before the event was over. We had 6 cars left, and we finally ran out of gift cards. We were giving gift cards out for those. So there's a story in the Mirror now if you'd like any more details about that. But frankly, Alex, I think I got all the details. So great job on the article. Okay, that's my report. Thank you, everybody, for all those great events in our community. And now the most important part of what we do is public comment. Now, remember, you've got 3 minutes unless you've have 5 people that you're here speaking for, and you will have noted here. Green means go, yellow means you've got 30 seconds, red means please stop, and I really hate interrupting people. So let's go ahead and get started. And I'll name a few folks off, and maybe you can kind of queue up where you can kind of get ready. Oh, what's that? Oh, yeah, thank you. I always forget that. Council had asked previously, we don't want your address, but if you could just tell us what community you live in, what city, that would be helpful. Okay, now, Vivian Alexander. And Vivian, I see you've got your written comments. We'll make sure that's in the record as well. And then after Vivian, it'll be Lori Lucky, Anna Patrick, and Jeffrey Tancuriti.
Good evening, Mayor Farrell, Deputy Mayor Honda, Council President Kochmar, council members, and Federal Way community. On 1/10/23, I viewed the Parks, Recreation, Human Services, and Public Safety Committee meeting. A presentation by AU Consulting took place. The discussion was about the feasibility of having a substance abuse treatment facility in the city of Federal Way. AU described the Zion Healing, an out-of-state organization, model and described how they might build upon that model. AU is in the design phase of the project and requested $100,000 from the city's opioid settlement money. I would like to thank the committee members who said they wanted to learn more about this program and wanted to invite the person from Zion who was here via Zoom tonight. To do that, to attend this, to have a study session, to learn more about it from him. So the committee members wanted to have the study session before deciding if this project should be taken to the full council for a vote. The idea of taking it to the full council for a vote was to ask for the $100,000 to give to AU Consulting. So I'm here tonight to say that I'm not in favor of giving any of the city's opioid settlement money to AU Consulting. Washington State's settlement with the 3 of the largest distributors of opioids gave the state of Washington about $518 million. What I would like to suggest to the city council members, some of them, all of them, is to go take a look in Auburn at it was the former Clarion Hotel. And the former Clarion Hotel is now being managed by Compass. And see what you think about it. You know, get all the information that you have, rather than just call the one on 320th, this hotel, a drug hotel, because King County doesn't know how to operate it. So before you do that, and before you even consider this $100,000, please get more information, just like you did tonight by asking all the questions you asked. Thank you.
Thank you, Vivian. Lori Lucky. Lori here? I'll put that, maybe we should just step aside for a moment. Anna Patrick. And then after Anna, we've got Jeffrey.
Hello. So I know there's some people that are talking about the hotels tonight and addressing some issues with King County. And I'd like to get some other things on record with regards to King County. I have some very serious concerns with their lack of collaboration with our city and communication with our schools and the impacts that it has on our city. Specifically, I will speak to one thing. I'm going to try to be careful. As a staff member, I want to be careful how I present this, but I've recently learned about something that has really upset me. Students are being referred for Assault 3 and Assault 4 and arrested and booked and released the same day and being discovered by staff on school property. These students, I'm speaking in generalities because there are several, have made threats on camera to staff, threats to kill to students. They're being referred and released. No communication to our cities. They're just inadvertently being discovered by our school resource officers. There was a court order that was requested and not honored. And then, so from what I've learned so far, there's just been no communication at all with our school regarding restorative community pathways with any staff. So this is a pattern of King County, not just with the homeless situation, but with the crime in general. And we need to know what the next steps are too when these restorative programs are not effective. There are some that are seriously not effective, and we're just cycling through over and over again. Very problematic, a drain on our schools. The services that are being put on our schools by emptying the jails, it costs a lot of money. A lot of the needs that are brought to our school, some of them involve disabilities, and we have to comply with very extensive laws that require a lot of added staff, a lot of added money, and real proper planning on the part of our school district. So this is putting us in a real disadvantage. It's very difficult. You can look up the crime stats that Stand Up put together over a 7-month period over the last year in just one school district. On another note, I would like to compel Federal Way to consider a parking licensing program to control the number of cars per home in crowded neighborhoods near schools and churches. No sidewalks, kids walking down middle of the street, and medically fragile neighbors have nowhere to park or walk safely. So, and I'd just like to say thanks to the city and police for partnering with businesses recently to address some vagrancy, some drug activity on property, and the other activities that were going on. It's really improved. Thank you.
Thank you. Jeffrey Tancredi, and then Kim Blevins.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, City Council, council members. Jeff Tancredi, Federal Way resident. King County purchased the, for those that may not be aware, King County purchased the Red Lion Hotel in Federal Way about 2 years ago. What we did not know was that King County bought the hotel for about $9 million. It was bought to house the chronically homeless or drug addicted. So 2 years after buying this hotel, it's still empty. We recently learned from a real journalist, undercover journalist, that King County spent about $600,000 to have the hotel cleaned up. But even after paying a contractor or someone $600,000, you still can't go in. There's so much methamphetamine in there that it probably will be condemned. And I say that as a former Army chemical officer, that much drugs inside that hotel is probably not going to reopen again. So there's $9.6 million down the drain. So the fire department was cautioned about going inside the hotel because it's so dangerous. Now we're learning that King County is looking to buy a third hotel in Federal Way, the Stevenson Hotel, right next to a lot of businesses on Pack Highway. What's going on here with King County? What's their objective? It seems like they're dumping everything they don't want down on Federal Way, doesn't it? They don't communicate with us. They hide things from us. King County has some questions to answer. Why did you spend $600,000 to clean up a hotel that can't be reopened because there's so much methamphetamine in there? And how come it took an undercover journalist? Where was our media? Where was the local media here? It's right in your backyard. These questions need to be answered because it's our tax dollars. King County, you failed. You failed miserably. You're not leading. You failed. You failed the taxpayers.
All right, Ken Blevins. And then Jacqueline Copley.
Council, Mayor, Ken Blevins. I'm a resident of Federal Way for 50 years, and thanks for listening to me. I kind of wanted to talk about kind of a similar thing, but I want to go back a little bit to a couple years ago when our council changed. We voted in new council to address this issue right now. We knew King County was going to dump on our city. They've been dumping on our city for years once they decided that a day center was supposed to be here, and what followed is just a mess, just human mess. These are human beings, and they just threw them down here. They clean up an encampment somewhere, invite them, clean it up, and they drop them off, give them free needles. I think what we did as a city, we fought that and cleaned up the needles, cleaned up the encampments, did a great job. Our police department did a really good job of working on that, and it's better when it comes to that. But all they did was they just moved into unincorporated King County, just over the border of Federal Way. There's encampments at Lake Dolph. That's in our school district. There's one at the end of 320th and Military. And they're spreading out from there. So these are our neighbors. This is what we did to them. We closed it here and moved it over there. And, you know, these people need help. King County's not helping people. They're actually buying property and not using the property, and then in such an emergency have to buy other hotels to fill them with humans that they don't care about. Housing somebody is not helping. When you're addicted to drugs, you need to be housed in an addiction facility. And why they're not actually making these facilities, these hotels into addiction facilities and getting these people in there, I don't know why. So there should be no choice in the matter when it comes down to it. Make these drugs illegal, arrest these people, not to put them in jail, but to give them a choice to go into treatment and help them save their lives. And we should be leaders in Federal Way. We should all be leaders. We should kick what they're doing right now. We should not allow it. We should revisit this. Our council, our new council, should be leaders in this and revisit this thing. It was supposed to be revisited, I believe, 6 months after this thing went in, that the last council voted in. The new council can do something about this. Let's be leaders. Let's vote it so that we change the rules again to make it almost impossible for them to just buy a hotel and dump humans in it and give them more drugs to be able to do whatever they want, and then cause everybody in Federal Way to have to watch this. I mean, the Stevenson Hotel, there's full buses full of kids that drive by there, and these kids actually see people doing drugs right in the street. It's only going to get worse, just like the east wind. So we move from one hotel to the other and the other. We just continue. So thanks for listening to me. Let's be leaders in Federal Way. Let's do something about it. Thanks.
Thank you. Jacqueline Copeland, and then Karen Brigado.
Good evening. I wasn't planning on talking about the RCP, but since it was brought up, I wanted to revisit that as well. Exactly 1 year ago, almost February 10th, I wrote to every member of the King County Council, along with Marcus Stubblefield, and there was someone else who oversees the juveniles. I can't recall his name. Anyhow, we wrote 3 pages of questions about what the restorative justice and the pathways was going to look like. We wanted to know about accountability. We wanted to know about recidivism. If they continue to keep offending, what happens? We wanted to know kind of the steps of what the different groups were going to be doing. And that was never answered. That was a year ago. I was told that they would be responding to my questions. They never did. So that's kind of going along with the transparency and accountability we're receiving from King County at every level. They're using our taxpayer money, and they are not fulfilling any end of their bargain, and it's very frustrating. So to the Red Lion, so they used taxpayer money, $9.6 million, and they didn't investigate to see what was going on and what condition the hotel was in. Are you kidding me? When we buy houses, we do that. So you're buying with cash, maybe you're not, I don't know, insuring it. I mean, how does that happen? How do you spend millions of dollars and you don't even check out if you can put people in there? So I have a question. How are these people in there in the first place? Were they cooking the methamphetamine, and that's how it was permeating the walls and making it so now it's possibly going to be condemned? So my question is, were they getting vouchers from King County where they can go? Because I know that King County gives out vouchers to stay in the hotels or the motels. What other motels might this be happening in? That these people are using and then making it so they're condemned. Are we going to buy some more hotels? Is the Stevenson one of these hotels? Are they going to investigate it? Are they going to find out if this is also a problem there? Is this just going to continue to happen when they end up, whatever is going on with the extended stay, which maybe none of us know about what's going on with that either? Is there something they found in there? Was that another place they had vouchers? Were they cooking meth in there? These are all questions that should be being asked by someone other than myself, and someone before they spend $9.6 million or $11 million. That's been sitting there for a year or two, however long it's been. We could have been collecting tax money. That could have been going back into the city. It's not. It's just sitting there, costing us money. And so these are things that need to be asked. I want to know about Best Western. I want to know about some of these other kind of shady motels. What's going on in those motels? We need someone asking these questions on our behalf. We want to know. We care. We've lived here a long time. Our kids live here. We have to shop around here. And this is madness. And you're going to take these same people and put these into the hotel that you're spending millions and millions and millions of dollars on, so the extended stay gets populated. These are the same people. Are you going to be cooking in there? Are you going to be pulling their licenses? Has this been discussed? These are questions that need to be answered, and everyone who lives here, works here, commutes here, shops here, deserves the answers. Thank you.
Thank you, Jacqueline. And I wanted to let you know, Jacqueline and everybody else, with regard to the Red Lion. Last week, I spoke with the chief of staff to the county executive. I called her again today. We had a conversation, and I did ask for a briefing through not only King County staff, but the King County Regional Homelessness Authority, which is facilitating this, to ask for that. We have been, our human services manager, Sarah Bridgeford, had asked repeatedly about what's going on with that hotel, what the status is, and, we're going to continue, but I reached out myself again today and asked for a complete briefing along with several of the council members till we can get all the information. And she agreed and committed to that.
And I think, Mayor, I listened to the report on 3 o'clock news where they talked about the letter that our staff had written to the county asking for itemized times when they notified the city of Federal Way and the council of meth use at the Red Lion. There were no notifications. So what's very frustrating for us is for one government agency to say that they actually contacted another government agency and we received no notifications. Very, very frustrating for them to say that and not be truthful. Thank you.
Thank you, Council President. That's exactly, Council, why I picked up the phone today and just said, we just need to hit the restart button, figure out exactly what's going on, let's find out what the status is. And I think that's what the public really wants and expects of us, that we all work collaboratively together. I'll make sure the council knows when we do that and make sure that we can find out what the exact status of this contamination is and what their plans are with the Red Lion.
Will the council be invited to
Of
this
course,
meeting?
yes. Yeah.
Will the public, so it'll be a
Probably
public?
won't be a quorum of the city council, so it'll be less than 4 because we have to note, so it'll be
Okay.
less than 4. But I'll make sure that there's an opportunity to get answers to these questions, and that's why I reached out personally.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, Karen Brigado. Thanks, Karen, for your patience.
Good evening, City Council, Mayor Farrell. I am Karen Brigado. I'm a 30-year resident here at Federal Way, and I represent the Arts Commission. I am here again to discuss the 2022 COVID Emergency, Unmet Needs Grant. Sorry if I pushed a button. It was received here October 25th, and according to the grant, it says reserved for the PAC to support arts and culture programs. It's plural. The funds may be used for expenses incurred January 1, 2022 through December 31st, 2022. I know Mr. Hutton and Ms. Gressett would like the funds to be applied to the Arts for Youth program, and this is a wonderful school-based program. I support the Performing Arts Foundation in their funding towards this program with my own funds. But during 2022, the Performing Arts Foundation, they didn't have an audience. That might be a restriction from the public schools, I imagine. The PAC didn't have an arts coordinator, which is necessary for the program for 2022. The Federal Way Public Schools did not have a fine arts facilitator, which is necessary. So, without an arts coordinator, a fine arts facilitator, and no audience, there was no Arts for Youth in 2022. So it looks to me, maybe, that the Arts for Youth are not eligible for this grant. Whether they are or not, I ask you to look at the proviso within the grant and see that it says it is reserved for the PAC to support arts and culture programs. There are representatives out here today from the 3 remaining performing arts groups, resident arts groups at the PAC. These are resident artists at the PAC, and they need to be supported too. They have many unmet needs, more than I could even count. Some are going to be up here and talking about it with you today, but I wanted you to look also at the approved 23-24 biennial budget. The PAC expects a yearly expenditure every year of $2.483 million. This grant is only $50,000. $2.483 million. On page 35 of the same 23-24 biennial budget lists unmet needs. There's no arts commission there, no resident artists, no culture. So I propose that this grant be used maybe for both, and it be put in credit for all future charges for the PAC. So the decision is up to you. What are you going to do with the funds? I leave it up to you. Thank you.
Thank you. Leslie Bradley, followed by Cindy Panett, Debbie Harvey, Jeremy Windsor, and then Betty Taylor.
Good evening, Mayor Farrell and the City Council. My name is Leslie Bradley, and I'm the President of the Board and more than 10-year member for the Federal Way Corral. I currently live in Fife. However, I've lived many years in Federal Way, and it's still my family's primary community for shopping, restaurants, and other activities associated with my now grown daughter's school, church family, and cantering church services at St. Vincent de Paul, and many of our friends live here as well as the Federal Way Corral. I would like to say a few words regarding the 2022 COVID-19 emergency unmet needs from King County on October 25th, 2022. According to the grant, it is reserved for the PAC to support arts and cultural programs and operations during and after the COVID-19 pandemic. During the pandemic, The Federal Way Chorale suffered immeasurable loss during these 2 years and through today. In spring of 2020, our spring concert was canceled with a loss of revenue for the performances, including our silent auction, raffles, and support of the Don Barrows Memorial Scholarship, which annually supports a graduating high school senior that is continuing in music education or vocal performance in their freshman year in college. We lost approximately 10 members due to their concerns over COVID, and they have yet to return. We lost significant foundation funding due to COVID that ranged between $5,000 and $10,000 each of the COVID quarantine years, and they have yet to recover. We lost our beloved artistic director, Laird Thornton, unexpectedly. As a result of that, we also lost our rehearsal space at TJ, which was our home for many years, free of charge because of Laird. This is just a small list of how we were affected then and still now. How did we survive? We didn't give up. We didn't stop singing. We wanted to continue making music for the community that needed music more than ever to deal with all of the changes and losses in their lives caused by COVID. The Federal Way Chorale continued to sing virtually, all of us learning a very strange way to make music. We created our very first virtual recording bridge over troubled water. We held our very first ever 100% virtual holiday concert and spring concert that was presented live on Facebook and was literally seen all over the world as far as Japan, Italy, and the Philippines. This was at no cost to the people of Federal Way, the surrounding communities, and the world. What COVID cost the Federal Way Chorale then and now? The Federal Way Chorale paid the private organization Arts Laureate over $11,700 to help us master our recordings and prepare them for a live cast. We paid additional people for their time in video creation, editing, mastering, and creating music tracks for the singers. We lost our rehearsal space, so when the chorale commenced in-person rehearsals, now costs us $400 per month. Do I not have 5 minutes?
Oh, I'm sorry, yes. You know what? You did. I'm sorry. 5 minutes. Yeah. Sorry about that, Leslie.
No worries. We lost our rehearsal space, and we now pay $400 per month to the Auburn School District, as Federal Way School District won't allow us to practice in any of the schools as an outside group, let alone for free, despite what we had enjoyed so many years with Laird. For Culture awarded our grant for 2023, and it too is cut from our normal award. On an amazing note, our holiday concert at the PAC almost sold out the venue with a total of 509 tickets being sold for the event. This is also the first year that we had members sell tickets to boost sales due to the lackluster performance of the marketing efforts of the PAC. It's the first time in history that we've sold so many tickets for a single concert. Sadly, the cost for that concert at the PAC increased for us by 20%. We were hemorrhaging money during COVID, and we continue to get hit again and again. We are a resident artist organization of Federal Way. We serve the people of Federal Way. I am all for the Arts for Youth program. However, the community of Federal Way doesn't serve only the children. The music of Federal Way Chorale serves all members of Federal Way, young and old. It is my understanding that the Arts for Youth program was not run during 20 and 21 COVID event. There was no monetary loss to them then nor now. Yet Mr. Hutton and Ms. Grissett want to give all the grant money to that single program. Interestingly, at a meeting with them recently, they patronized us by saying that they heard our request and the needs were going to make it right. But now they are in a different setting, they've changed their tune, and that agenda item was removed from tonight's meeting. The arts is for everyone. The PAC should support resident artists equally, not offering free rehearsal space to one resident artist group and not the others. Federal Way started out with 5 resident artist groups. We are down to 3. 2 have dropped out due to the high cost of performing at the PAC. The PAC was paid for with taxes of the community. They deserve to have equal representation of the arts. We deserve equity as a resident artist group along with the Federal Way Symphony. Please help us continue making music here in Federal Way. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Leslie. And individuals who speak for more than 5 individuals have, if they noted on the form, can speak for 5 minutes. So thank you for the reminder there. And she's speaking on behalf of the Federal Way Chorale members who are present in the audience. So thank you. Cindy Panette.
Good evening. I'm Cindy Panett, and I'm a Federal Way resident. I'm here to say that I support the performing arts in Federal Way for both quality of life and as an economic driver in our community. We need the Arts for Youth program at the PAC, which brings thousands of Federal Way students to live performances during the year after the pandemic restrictions are lifted. And we need to support the resident artist groups that perform at the PAC. We want all arts and culture at the PAC to be successful. I understand that the $50,000 that King County granted was allocated to the PAC at the end of 2022, and it can be used in 2023 for the Arts for Youth program. And as a board member of the Federal Way Performing Arts Foundation, I totally support that. But absolutely, as a singer in the Federal Way Chorale, I also support that the City Council should vote in the spring of 2023 to amend the city budget to include $50,000 to support the resident artist groups who perform at the PAC, and to provide an additional $150,000 in the amended budget for the Arts Commission to use to support arts and culture in Federal Way. Both the Federal Way Chorale and the Federal Way Symphony had wonderful, successful Christmas concerts with over 500 in attendance at each performance. They are to be applauded for their efforts and supported as they continue to perform at the PAC. Thank you.
Thank you. Debbie Harvey, Jeremy Windsor, Betty Taylor, Lynn Long. So Debbie Harvey. And actually, let me say it before you have to tell me. Ms. Harvey is speaking for other individuals that are here. Don and Sabina, Sue and John, Marge and Al, Deb and Al.
Yes.
Feels like a small town sometimes.
It does.
So go ahead, Debbie.
Hi, my name is Debbie Harvey, and I am a 40-plus year resident of Federal Way. And I'm here today to speak about some traffic and code issues that our neighborhood has been dealing with for close to a year now. But first, I wanted to give a shout out to a few of the council members, Erica, Lydia, Linda, and Jack. Because at the retreat, when I watched it on YouTube, you guys spoke about the senior center. And as you guys know, I've been, and other people have been pushing for a senior center here in the actual city limits of Federal Way. And I hope this stays on your minds and in your hearts to move forward, and hopefully sooner than later. So, thank you. So I wanted to say that. So my neighbors and I have had 5 issues that we've been asking for help. We've been using the Eyes on Federal Way app. We've also been in person meeting with some of the code and traffic individuals here at the building to address our issues. And so the 4, it's really about 4 of our neighbors on the same street that all seem to have the same issues. So that's what I'm going to focus on. So the issues are, number 1 is that there seems to be long-term and repeated parking on 3rd Avenue Southwest next to the sidewalk and on the sidewalk. Each one of these individuals on this street have added gravel driveways next to the existing driveways for additional parking. One of the neighbors, potentially, we all believe, they're operating an auto mechanic business out of their home, which is causing a lot of the cars to be parked. There's yard debris in the lawn, and there's also parking in the front lawn from time to time. So the issues that are related to the 4 addresses, as I said before, are on 3rd Avenue. The addresses are the 32902, 32903, 32911, and 32919. All but 32919 have added additional parking, as I said, laying gravel down next to the existing driveway, and 32919 actually will use their front yard for parking. If my understanding is correct, you are allowed like a width of 20 feet for your driveway. I understand if these vehicles leak fluids, and yes, they have, this would be an environmental impact for our water and therefore impacting our wildlife and ecosystem. All but 32902 frequently park along the sidewalk on 3rd Avenue, sometimes blocking the sidewalk, but always blocking the safe traffic rule. So on 3rd Avenue, it's a hill, so you're either going to go up or down. And with that parking, you cannot see when you come up the hill either way. I mean, you can't see to the left, you can't see to the right because there's parking along that From 4th Avenue Southwest past the 3rd Avenue Southwest, there's just constantly parking. We have counted as many as 11 cars between 4th and 3rd at times. So again, as I said, we've been coming here and we've been using the Eyes on Federal app to try to get this resolved. There are times where things do get resolved, such as they don't park in their front yard for a while, but then after a month, then they start parking in their front yard again. As far as the vehicles parking along the side of the street, when I walked past there this morning, one of the trucks that was parked there had their passenger window smashed out. So this to me becomes like a drawing crime. People are going to be seeing all these cars parked there all the time, and it's just, it's an attraction for some kid or someone else to say, hey, it's an easy target. So as I said, we have been trying to deal with this through the Eyes on Federal app. We've been trying to deal with this by actually having in-person meetings with traffic and with code. So as we have been talking to traffic and code, and you know, they've advised us that we need to come and talk before the council to get some action and get some help in getting this resolved. We're asking for no parking signs to be installed along 329th from 4th Avenue Southwest to 3rd Avenue Southwest. Also on 3rd Avenue Southwest, so that we can have safe access to go up and down that hill to get in and out of our area where we live. 3 of our neighbors, including myself, have had near misses in the last 3 months of actually having oncoming traffic head-on. And so I'm asking for that help. One other note is that with the Eyes on Federal app, if we could get the police to indicate the resolution that's happened with what we've reported, other than just it's closed, because we don't know what closed means. Was it a non-issue? Did you resolve it? Did you talk to them? Do we need to keep reporting it? Because I mean, if we don't, then we need to know that too. So that's what I'm here for. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Debbie. That's great. Now, we've got Keith Niven, who's our Community Development Director, who oversees code compliance. You rattled off a number of addresses, of which I'm very familiar with. Keith, would you please, maybe in the back of the room, make sure you've got those addresses? I want to let you know as you know, probably the window that was smashed out of that truck, that happened on Saturday, and the registered owner is living nearby.
Okay.
But we made sure that I was concerned it was a stolen vehicle because it had been in that same position since Saturday.
Yeah.
But we're very aware of these situations, and we'll follow up with code enforcement on these. But so, just keep at it.
All right, thanks.
All right, thanks, Debbie. All right, and Keith, let's follow up with some of those, and thank you, Chief, for following up on that. And also, Chief, let's have a conversation with Brian just about generally that area with regard to traffic and parking and that kind of thing. But thank you for following up with the broken window earlier today. All right, Jeremy Windsor.
Good evening, community. I would say, like everybody else, thank you to the council members and mayors, but I feel like you guys are put in place to listen, so I'm going to thank the community for taking time to listen to me. I honestly probably should have asked for 5 minutes because I'm not only speaking for myself, but I'm speaking for Federal Way Youth. I am a member of Federal Way. For myself, I am also part of the collective, so I know somebody brought that up. I hear a lot of conversation about, problems in Federal Way, crime in Federal Way, youth having trouble in school, and I really want to address that as far as, like, there's not a lot of opportunity for youth to do anything. And even in those same situations, right, you guys, we call that a community center around the corner, but I say it's a business. I went over there Sunday. It was about me and 40 other youth in there to play basketball. I got a call, Jeremy, can you bring some people to come play? We got there to play, and there was about 9 to 12 youth outside that could not pay the $6, and I paid it myself. I don't make a lot of money working in that restorative collective. I don't make a lot of money, but I felt like if those kids aren't in this community center doing something actively like that, what are they doing? And also, not only did some of them come in that I paid for, but some of them left. Those 4 or 5 youth that left, I know they're active youth, right? I don't just deal with random youth. I deal with the youth that are impacted out here, maybe causing some of that trouble. But a lot of times, those kids are great young men, great young women. They're just not always given the tools and the opportunity to do anything, right? And especially now when they want to come to the community center and do something, they get charged to do that. So is that a community center or is that a business? And then not only that, it was like 40 of us on one side, on the small side of the court, while the Special Olympics, not to say they shouldn't be able to utilize the court as well, had the 2 larger size court, but they only had 14 people using that. And so I was a little confused about why they're using the larger side and why the majority of the youth that are in here are using the smaller side. So I would just ask that, we not only look at, one, don't ask for 1 year for restorative justice to change anything. Federal Way gives the least amount of money for youth that I deal with. In King County and Seattle, I'm able to move a little different with my youth out there. I have more resources to use in Federal Way. The pot is a little smaller. We've been trying to get into Todd Beamer. We've been trying to get into Federal Way. We've been trying to get into Decatur. We've been trying to get into TJ, and all that's been blocked. So we're still moving in our direction, but let us in those schools. Let us really impact those youth. I work for Progress Pushers. That's the organization I personally work for, but I'm part of the entire collective, and I promise you, I'm here. I promise you, I'm trying. I promise you, there's more people like me, but you got to allow us to do the work. You cannot just say, in 1 year, I'm supposed to change a societal difference, right? This is something that's put in place for these kids to fail and still happening. So just give us an opportunity and support us in that opportunity.
Thank you, Jeremy.
I just want to say that I've brought this to the community organizers, the people that are in charge of this, and they said that they're putting something together to allow particularly Progress Pushers and Winston Bell's organization to use the facilities, and I'm not sure where they're at with that right now, but it's John Hutton said that he was working on it, and he's here right now. So if you got my email, so just email me, and then I'll give you the information, or call me. I think you have my phone number. Just give me a call.
John also changed it. He closes at 5, right?
Well, let's,
Just give me a call, and then I can give you an update.
John, do you have any update?
Yeah, we were working, since we spoke with Councilmember Norton and the groups, we were working with Sarah Bridgeford with Human Services, developing some opportunities to get groups to exactly like we're just talked about into both the Federal Way Community Center and to Dumas Bay for different theater areas in Dumas Bay and classroom space at the community center.
All right.
Thank you, John.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Or Director Hutton.
All right, Betty Taylor, and then Lynn Long. And as Betty makes her way up here, has Lori Lucky come back yet? Is Lori here? All right. Betty Taylor.
My name is Betty Taylor. Before I have 3 things to say, but before I say what I want to say, first I have to give honor to the Chief of Police, Andy. Thank you. Thank you so much, Andy. I thank the Lord. I thank Andy. I thank the police department because there was a situation that I was trying to deal with, and I didn't know what to do, and I went down to the police department because I had to fill out some paperwork, and I'm like, I need to call Andy. I need some help. I called Andy, the police department. They helped me. I went home. Andy called me on the phone. He said, Betty, what's going on? I told him. He said, I had one of my staff people call you. They called me, and they helped me out. So, Andy, I got this plaque. It says, in this house, we support police. This is for you, Andy, and for the police department in Federal Way. So, I got 3 things, okay? Second thing, okay. Okay, let me see. Okay, so in 2017, we had a National Night Out, the first night out in Town Square Park. Jim Farrell, thank you for opening up that door. Jim Hutton, John Hutton, he's the guy, he's the man. Thank you, John, thank you, community, thank you, everybody that pulled together and worked hard with us. It was myself and Claire Wilson and Susan Honda and all the volunteers. We had like different entertainment, and then we did it year to year, and then COVID came, so then we stopped. So Everything's basically open up right now. Usually on National Night Out, we usually get started in February. But we're looking for the city to sponsor Night Out this year. We want the city to sponsor it. We want the city to be able to bring in entertainment. We want the city to be able to sponsor the food. We want the city to be able to bring in those residents and reach out to those residents that do not have Night Out in their homes. Because that's what the main purpose was. Really, everybody should be included. And we had that specifically for those that weren't included. So now we're asking the city, myself, Susan Honda, Claire Wilson, we're asking the city, please, come up with a plan, because these people need to be served. We need to reach the whole community, 100,000 people. How are we gonna do that? We gotta make it happen, guys. Get your brains together, think. When y'all in these meetings, think, y'all, come on. Okay.
Thank you.
I would just, that first year, we had over 300 people show up at Town Square Park for National Night Out.
Right. Okay, Lynn Long.
Hi. I wanted to say I'm just so thankful I have this opportunity to be before you again. It's been a long time since I made it to this podium. So it's my pure pleasure to meet the new council members, the ones that are more senior or more mature council members that have lots of experience in this Federal Way area. Let me tell you a little bit about myself. I'm a longtime resident. My mom was pregnant with me when they moved up from Anaheim area in California. So I'm the first generation Washingtonian. I lived here 55 years. I've seen all in Federal Way. So I've seen the full gamut of what our community has gone through, growing pains, positive pains, negative, positive, and so forth. So I've seen it all. I remember when we first moved here, all the main shopping area was on Pack Highway. And they had the old European Square, the old skating rink that had it was terrible to skate in there because the water had leaked through the roof. And then it went to Patterson's West, and I'm so glad Patterson's West got saved now by a Hispanic organization that's going to reopen it to the community. I've seen Enchanted Parks, and now Wild Waves. It used to be a fairy tale land, and now it's a Wild Waves, as you know it now. I've seen trees from Pack Highway and 320th, used to go all the way down to Twin Lakes because that was the first suburb area. And it was just solid trees going all the way down. No houses. But, all of us had to cut down trees, right, to build houses. That's just pure fact. But we're getting smaller and smaller areas of trees, right? So we have to hang on to those. And Tacoma has done a wonderful balance of keeping their historic land parks. And myself, I'm part of KEEP, Kilworth Environmental Educational Preserve. We work with Forterra. We work with the YMCA of Greater Seattle to get that camp saved. It was going to be built into 35 homes. And it's a 26-acre parcel in High Bank, second growth forest, you name it, beautiful parcel. It's going to reopen, folks. And people were naysayers. They told us that it was not going to be possible, but we did it. I worked on that from 2005 and all the way until this present, and now it's going to open up in 2024, the summer. We're going to need volunteers. In March, we're going to start work. We're going to get volunteers in there. It's the green month, right? March is green. And we have lots of beautiful trees, so I'm going to need your help, all of you, okay? And you guys are great. I've seen Mayor Farrell out our way and so forth. So I see the potential in Steel Lake Park. I have a realtor right now that I'm really close with, that she's a go-getter, and she is looking out for you guys, because this is really cantankerous, or how do you say it? It's really a hard subject when you're talking about cutting down second growth trees and eliminating skate parks and soccer fields and all those recreational opportunities, because we need places where you can call it forest bathing and areas where you can breathe the fresh air and you can see animals and trees and animals of all sorts, and I could give you a huge list. In fact, we had the Audubon Society come out to Camp Kilworth, and the numbers were endless of what they saw out there. So if I have permission, I know that beeped, can I approach the bench with some things? I have my assistant.
Sure, of course.
Caden Michael from Troop 398. And my goal is to spread love and kindness. And this week, I have bought.
Do you want to give them, like, maybe give them to the clerk and then we'll pass them down that way?
I have bought. The clerk is there.
Yeah, just give everything to the clerk.
And I started giving them out to people that were random acts of kindness, people that were on the street homeless, people that were probably doing drugs, but they saw it was a Bigfoot Java, and they took the card. Now, the ones that were truly into drugs would not accept the cards because they wanted the cash, right? So what you do, you just go out and spend $100, buy 10 cards, right? Get their little cute Valentine stickers and put that with it. And you just start handing them out and see what happens.
All right, Lynn.
We're gonna narrow down who really, really is into drugs, right? Really quickly. Because they're gonna say, Bigfoot Java?
Lynn,
Wow.
thank you. If you actually just give everything to the clerk, we'll pass it down. We'll pass it. Thank you very much. Okay, and now, thank you very much. All right, Dara Mandeville.
Mayor, if I can just make a comment as Derek comes up, and I know that she knows, but there's a lot of people at home watching this, and if people are not speaking into the mic, the people at home are not going to know what you're saying. So just a reminder to speak in the mic, and I know that Dara already
I'm
knows that.
loud. They can hear me. Good evening. Thank you for allowing me to speak tonight. I actually just have a few quick things. Most importantly, Stand Up has been doing hundreds of police record requests through the Federal Way Police Department, and Karen and her team are amazing. We've been doing them through other police departments and through the county, and it's causing a lot of grief, but Federal Way is amazing. So we tell her thank you all the time, but Andy, give her a pat on the back, and they're amazing, the whole team. I wanted to ask if we have an update on the shopping cart ordinance. And then the last thing is, and I know this isn't you, I know 18 months ago, we were up here giving you guys grief about the purchase of Red Lion and extended stay, and you guys kept telling us, it's not us, it's the county, and we were like, well, now we know. But at what point in time do we say enough is enough and we sue them? It's gross negligence, what they've done to our city. And we've all seen it. I mean, we all live in this city. It's horrible. And for 18 months that I actually sat and went back in my emails, for 18 months, they've been, we've been at these meetings talking about it, and they keep telling us, we can't tell you anything. And then they sent Leo here, and that poor man got pummeled. But no one will tell us anything, but this is our city. It's our city. A friend of mine was remodeling her house a couple years ago, and I was helping her, and her contractor kept making a joke because she wanted stuff in her house that he thought was hideous. And so we had this saying between him and I, can't see it from my house, can't see it from my house. And I feel like that's what King County's doing the Federal Way. At what point in time do we say enough? I emailed Susan actually during the meeting last month. I think I sent all you guys, but I got a few emails, and Susan and I have been back and forth a little bit about Marysville saying, screw what the legislators say, we're gonna start arresting for, open drug use. And I said in my email, why can't we? At what point do we say, sorry, King County, you're literally destroying our city, and we're done. Thank you.
Okay, and then we've got a virtual comment. Stephanie Habu, is Ms. Habu still on?
I don't have her on the line, no. I don't have her.
Okay. All right. And do we have, did Lori Lucky ever return? All right, she comes back, let me know. Okay, do we have anybody else online? Okay. All right, thank you for a very great public comment. It's the most important thing we do is listen and listen very carefully to the people that we work for, which is you. Okay, now we are on to presentations. This is item A. Under 5A is the proclamation for Black History Month, February 2023. Councilmember Lydia Asefa-Dawson.
Thank you, Mayor. And actually, I'm going to be doing it with Councilmember Erica Norton. And first of all, thank you, students from TJ and Decatur for being here. And council meetings are not boring, so hopefully this doesn't scare you. It would be great for you guys to show up at times and see what this process is, because you are our future. So thank you for being here. If you guys wouldn't mind going to the podium while we read the proclamation, and we'll give them out to the two schools. With that, I'll start. Where is it? Oh, okay. Whereas the first Black History Month was celebrated in 1926 and serves to acknowledge the fullness of African American history and culture, and whereas Black History Month honors the valuable and lasting contributions of African Americans to our community, state, and nation with exceptional success in all aspects of society, including business, education, politics, science, sport, community organizing, and the arts. And whereas throughout history, African Americans and people of African descent have demonstrated profound moral courage and resilience through their ongoing struggles for equality and opportunity. And whereas all Americans should reflect and seek to increase knowledge and insight regarding the issues of diversity, equity, and inclusion. And
whereas all Americans should continue to crusade for the elimination of barriers to equality, racial discrimination, injustice, and generational poverty. And whereas the City of Federal Way believes in the equality of all people and supports efforts toward a more equitable society and effort to live up to the creed of our nation, that we are all created equal. And whereas equality is not sameness, it is equivalent value. And now, therefore, we, the undersigned mayor and city council of the City of Federal Way, do hereby proclaim February 2023 as Black History Month in the City of Federal Way, and encourage the people of our city to join together to support African American owned businesses, expand knowledge and understanding of equality, and celebrate the enduring and rich history of African Americans. Signed the 7th day of February 2023.
Right here.
if you guys would like to say something.
I want to thank y'all for the opportunity of allowing our students to come out and have this moment. Like many other people say, we don't have a lot of opportunities for our kids to get to experience these things. So being able to come out and do this is rewarding, and it shows that the work that we do is not in vain. Being able to get our kids and take them places, because they don't have the opportunities to do that. So thank you, and we would appreciate if you guys continue the efforts to do so. Many of the resources that our kids need and the experiences that they need to be able to be successful, we as the adults in Federal Way have to step up for them and take them to these things. We have to bring these things to them, because unfortunately, they may not have access to these opportunities. So again, thank you for acknowledging what they do, their culture, and how they present themselves.
Although February is Black History Month, our BSU has been celebrating our Black history and our courage all throughout the year. Starting out in September, we started with the block party with Jesse Johnson and Winston, and we advertised and actually got Winston and Jesse Johnson in the door to advertise to our student for that block party. In November, we partnered with the Black Collective, the Youth Violence Prevention Committee, and other community advisors and organizers to throw a benefit concert where I performed, Evan Cook performed, and we're able to feed over a dozen families in November for Thanksgiving. In December, we also held an event for our campus where we were able to share our Black culture through our media and through activities.
In January, we threw our MLK Assembly, where we partnered again with the Federal Way Black Collective and other community organizers to provide edutainment, educate the students while entertaining them with certain poetry and performances again. I'm going to have the scholars come up and talk about what we're doing this month to also honor our culture. And yeah, go ahead.
My name is Abby, and I'm a member of the TJ Black Student Union. And for Black History Month, on the first week, we have a social media blast, which we're going to use our BSU Instagram page to educate our school and our followers on Black excellence in different aspects of our society. On Monday, we did Music Monday, where we presented random facts about music and Black music, and we provided an opportunity for the students to interact with the page. On Tuesday, we had Tech Tuesday, which is basically Black excellence in technology. On Wednesday, tomorrow, we're gonna have Wave Your Flag Wednesday, where we're gonna educate our followers about African flags and other predominant Black countries' flags and how they came to have those colors. On Thursday, we have a Throwback Thursday, and on Friday, we're gonna have a Kahoot, where we're gonna have questions about all the facts that we presented throughout the week, and there's gonna be prizes to be won, and yeah, thank you.
Hello, my name is Imani Randall. I am part of the BSU. Sorry, I'm a little nervous. So what we are doing for Black History Month is every single day we have been doing announcements for talking about famous Black people and Black history. We also are doing a Spirit Week, or a celebration week for Black History Month. It will be going for the last week of February. On February 27th will be Black Artists. We dress up as our favorite characters, our favorite artists, and just celebrate the Black artists that we know. On February 28th is celebrating Black hair, so celebrating the differences between all of our hair textures and what crazy fun styles we do with them, and just celebrating how much we love our hair. On Wednesday, March 1st, is HBCU Day, which celebrates historical Black colleges or universities. Just celebrating all those colleges who, take pride in just having Black students in there, and just celebrating us. On Thursday, March 2nd, is Throwback Day, as it pretty much sounds, going back to 90s, 80s, 70s, all the way back in time to those good old days. And finally, on Friday is Black Excellence, so celebrating all who we are, and just understanding that our skin tells our stories, and our skin has power, and we are who we say we are. We have our own story. We are also decorating our hallways, still in progress, but we are doing as much as we can to make this a fun experience for everyone in our school to understand and learn more.
On March 3rd, we're doing a Black History Month assembly. We decided that we were going to take 3 more days, because why not? Black history is year-round, and we're going to start it with taking 3 more days. Just a way to celebrate our culture and the kids to be able to showcase their talents. So we welcome anyone to stop by during the month of February to come and see what we're doing, come experience what we're doing. At Decatur, we say we have an open door policy for people to come and see what our kids are doing and to hear their voices.
Hi, my name is Mayel, and I'm part of the Thomas Jefferson High School BSU. So to celebrate Black History Month, we're doing different events each week of the month. And for next week, we're doing Spirit Days. So there's a visual representation of Black History Month, and it brings more awareness as students will see other students celebrating Black American culture. So some of the Spirit Week days will be, Monday is going to be a headwear day. So you can wear an African garb, a do-rag, or a bonnet. And we promote our white allies and other race allies to join in on the Spirit Days, but not appropriate. We made sure to make the Spirit Week uplift Black American culture, but not in a way that perpetuates stereotypes. And Jay will tell you guys what we're doing for the last week.
Hi, I'm Jay, and for the last week of our Black History Month, we have a media night where we're basically coming together all as a whole of our school to celebrate together one last time. We're going to have historically Black movies. We're going to have educational things being presented and games just to come together as whole one last time for the month.
Okay, should we do a big group picture?
Yes.
All right, did everybody get a chance to speak? Did everybody who speak, get to speak that wanted to?
My kids are shy, so we're gonna do this one more time. We're doing advisory lessons also.
Okay.
We've got 3 advisory lessons. We're doing the unwhitewashed Black history. Our first topic is Martin Luther King, what we were taught and what we should have been taught. We're doing the history behind the N-word and why we shouldn't use it, where it stems from. And then we're also doing what it is to be queer, Black history by 2 queer Black boys. We're very excited to be able to tell these stories to our staff and students and learn together.
Great. All right, well, thank you. It's some great work being done. Let's, council, let's get down here in the front and let's do a big group picture. Steve, and
I just wanted, that's why I just like the overall, we wanted to, we wanted to.
Okay, good job.
No, but I mean, why not? No.
getting back up is the hard part.
All right, everyone smile.
Thank you.
It's okay, let me sit.
Do I just start talking to the mic?
Yeah. Like you said.
Okay. I got this.
Got this. Got this.
Yeah, I have to go through the metal, the spinner thing.
Thank you, Susan.
I knew. I know you really well, I think, kind of well.
Do we have one more speaker?
One more. Just
Okay, hi.
Hi, my name is Lyd Thompson, and I'm one of the boys who made the What It Means to Be Queer and Black advisory lessons for Black History Month. I find it very important to talk about Black queer history. We're talking about Black History Month because it's often forgotten and left out. It was very important to me to make this slide and to make sure that it is taught at my school so we are not erased from history. So the microaggressions and the wrongful act that has happened to both Black and queer people is not erased.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. All right, thank you. Okay, now we are moving on to item 6. These are the council committee and regional reports. So we've got Parks, Recreation, Human Services, and Public Safety. Councilmember Walsh.
All right, we have not met since our last last council meeting, but we will be meeting again a week from tonight. You can come and enjoy your Valentine evening here with the Parks, Recreation, Human Services, and Public Safety Committee meeting.
You in trouble for having a meeting that night?
We'll see how long it is. The agenda's a little longer than what I was expecting, John.
I'd be in
So anyway.
trouble. All right. Okay. Okay, we may have to have an executive session for that. Land Use and Transportation Committee, Councilmember Dovey.
Yes, we had our meeting last night, which was a record in all the years I've ever sat up here.
Yeah.
I think it went 2.5+ hours, but there was a lot of good things on the agenda. There's a couple things that I'd like to highlight, though. And one, I'm going to throw this to Parks and Recreation. Our staff went out and got bids, and I may be speaking out of turn, but they got the Target building such that it was $100,000 less to tear it down on ARPA.
Yeah, did you see that?
And I've been listening tonight to testimony, and one thing that came up, and I'll just throw this out and we can talk about it, but Jeremy came and talked about kids that can't get into the community center to play basketball. I'd like to throw the discussion of that $100,000 to Jack's committee to talk about maybe scholarships to let needy kids in or projects like that. Because if you look at it, $5 a pop, 100,000's 384 kids a week that we could pay into John Hutton's and our city's community center to get people to use it. So I'm not saying we should do it, I'm just cascading it over there and see what happens.
It's a great thought.
Totally support that idea.
Brian, were you going to say something?
Yeah, just we're developing that process. We currently have 3.75 million dedicated towards that effort, between that and economic development, so that is currently undeveloped. We can add more to it certainly, but I would suggest that we take that pot that we've previously designated and come up with a proposal, and if you want to add more to it later, then we can certainly do that.
I just wanted to make sure, put it up there to go about. The other thing that will be coming up, we had a great discussion from consultants about the things that our city might want to look at to make us more desirable for developers to build market rate projects in the city. And I'm looking forward to bringing those things to the committee, that we may be changing some codes and looking at that so we can be more competitive and bring in some of those investments.
Thank you.
The next
Councilmember-
committee meeting is going to be a month out, and it'll have a lot of fun stuff, I'm sure.
Yeah, you had a lot.
Won't be 2.5 hours.
So since the other Jack tossed things back to me, I think that's, with that 100,000 that we're saving from the Target demolition, I mean, some of it there, what he was saying, and also perhaps a portion of it towards the arts, which have been discussed tonight.
Yeah, Brian, did you get that? Let's bookmark that to have a conversation about that for the arts who desperately need it. I think a lot of those folks have left. Let's have a conversation about that, and let's make sure that we follow up in regard to the community center accessibility. All right, great conversation. Thank you. Okay, Finance, Economic Development, and Regional Affairs Committee, Councilmember Tran.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Our committee was supposed to meet last month, but none of us was able to be in person, and I believe the rule require at least one committee member to be in person to have that meeting. So this has happened not that often. The 3 years that I'm chair of this committee, this is the first time ever that happened. So for that, my apologies to the mayor, council members, staff, and the public. So I will make sure that this is not going to happen again. So our next meeting is going to be March 28 at 5 p.m. in this room. Thank you.
Great, thank you very much. Lodging Tax Advisory Committee, Councilmember Asefa Dawson.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Our next meeting is actually going to be tomorrow at 10 a.m. It's going to be on Zoom. And I think at our March meeting, we should have a full quorum where all the vacancies are filled. So we're really looking forward to that because it's been a while since we had a full quorum. And can I talk about the other committees?
Yeah.
And last week I attended the Affordable Housing Symposium out in Kirkland, and there were a lot of nuggets and interesting pieces. So I'm going to talk to you at some point, Keith, and give you all the toolkits that were given to us. And then next Regional Law, Justice, and Safety Committee meeting, I'll be presenting on the gun buyback program. So and that's going to be end of this month. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you very much. Deputy Mayor, Regional Committees report.
Thank you. Since our last meeting, I attended the Joint Aircraft Emissions Technical and Community Task Force meeting. I'm a member of that representing the King County Seattle Board of Health. And we were supposed to have another meeting next week, and for some reason it's been postponed, but we're getting information now from the studies that have been done and dissecting that information. So it's taking a little bit longer than we all thought it would to find out what the emissions are doing and how we can. Appointed to the National League of Cities Information Technology and Communications Committee last week, and we had our first meeting last Friday on Zoom. The chair this year is Kent Keel, who is a council member from University Place, and there are 12 people on this committee from across the country. I had an APAMO, Asian Pacific American Municipal Officials Board meeting last week, and we were discussing planning our meeting for the upcoming conference in Washington, D.C. I am also a member of the Regional Transit Committee. We had our first meeting about 2 weeks ago, and I'm really excited to be on this committee. Transit is a big deal, and in Federal Way, it's a really big deal. We're going to have a light rail station, and we're going to have to find ways to get people from where they live to be able to use light rail. So I'm really glad I'm on this committee. And we had a Board of Health meeting also the same week, where we had a very extensive report from Dr. Khan. He's our new Director of Public Health here in King County. And it would take me forever to talk about what he talked about because he talked for like 45 minutes. But it was really interesting. It is recorded. You can go watch it. But he talked a lot about the pandemic and what we couldn't do as a Board of Health or a public health during the pandemic because we were so focused on the pandemic and why we need to catch up. And we've got a lot of catching up to do, but he is from the St. Louis area and he just started this job just recently. I was on the committee that hired him. Well, I didn't hire him, the King County hired him, but I was on the interview committee with him. And he said during his interview, and he has said several times, that King County Board of Health is a Board of Health that, and public health, that people around the country watch for, because we do things, many things for the first time, and then other public health departments and boards of health follow what we do, which is very interesting to find out. I didn't realize that. Tomorrow is a PIC meeting, and it's at 7 o'clock. It's on Zoom. You can all come and listen, but there are really some important things, and I want you to be aware of them because you might want to listen tomorrow. We're going to be talking about the legislative session, and there's a lot going on that affects cities. Solid waste rate restructure, affordable housing, county-wide planning policies, and if you can't listen to anything else, the Homeless Authority 5-year plan, we're going to have a discussion on that, and it's like the 10th thing on the agenda, so I would think that's probably going to happen maybe around 8 o'clock. I have been talking with Sarah Bridgeford here at the city about this Homeless Authority 5-year plan, because it was released, I think, 2 weeks ago. There's some things in there that are very, very concerning, and they should be very concerning to us as a community. And Sarah's going through it. Hopefully, we will have a meeting where she can present the authority's 5-year plan, and we can discuss what it means to us and how we might want to react to it, because I think we need to send some suggestions back to this authority. I don't support everything that they have in that 5-year plan, and I'm sure that as council members, you might not either. So that is tomorrow at 7 o'clock. I would really encourage you to watch at least that part of the meeting. And if you're able to, city action days are February 15th and 16th, next week in Olympia for AWC. You can still go, you can still register. If you can go 1 day or 2 days, it would be great. And it's a great time to meet our lobbyists for AWC, find out what they're working on, and watch what's happening down in Olympia.
All right, thank you very much.
And the retreat. Good night. So thank you all for participating so much in the retreat. Thank you, staff, for giving up your Saturday to be with us. I think in the future, we need to be more mindful of the date. I didn't realize when we were picking the date, because we only had 3 choices. In August, I asked staff to look at when either the PAC or Dumas Bay was available on a Saturday in February, January or February. And there were only 3 dates, which is good, means that other people, customers are using those facilities. But one of the dates was Lunar New Year, which is a really important holiday for many people in our community. So in the future, we probably shouldn't be doing our retreat on that weekend, if it falls on a weekend. So anyway, I thought the retreat was great. I thought we accomplished a lot of work and had a discussion that I've been dying to have for years about downtown. So thank you, and thank you, staff, for giving up your Saturday to be with us, and I really appreciate it.
All right, thank you. Council President.
Thank you very much, Mayor. I'd like to thank Councilmember Erica Norton for her hard work on presenting the Zion Health and the treatment options, and that was very thorough. I know you put a lot of work into that, so thank you very much. And Councilmember Seppa Dawson for helping her on that. I'd like to also thank our 2 Jacks, Jack and Jack, because, thank you, I wanted to say the same thing, take the money and use it for our children so that they can have something to do at the community center. Why not? And by the way, it's $6 a person, but it's close enough.
Oh, we ought to be able to get a large discount for the amount of money.
Of course. And then the other thing, too, I actually would like to see that some of that money going to our arts, in-house arts folks. Literally, they deserve it. And then we did have a groundbreaking for the Silver Shadow Apartments, and I know Deputy Mayor Honda was there along with Mayor Farrell. That's right off of the 272nd Park and Ride. When you go down there, it's right across from McDonald's. You can see some steel structures going up. There's going to be about 300 apartments going in there for lower income folks who will be able to live there. I think it's studio and 1-bedroom apartments, possibly 2, but basically studio 1 bed. I was asking. And so it'll be for folks who need housing. And they will also have, which I think is a great idea, a food bank right there for them to help them, as well as helping them getting into, I believe, internship programs. But they had some wonderful ideas about how to move forward. So that's one good project that I think is going on in our community that will be very helpful. And, there's one other thing, Mayor, I saw that I thought I'd bring up, which was I saw it's like a commuter bus, a small one, coming up from the city of Pacific to our rail station, not light rail, but what will be light rail for the buses, from the city of Pacific. It had a City of Pacific imprinted on the vehicle itself, which tells me that it's owned by the City of Pacific. So if we ever get light rail in, and we got people into our downtown to pick up light rail, we need a commuter bus, and that's something for long-range planning I think we need to look at. Oh, okay, great. And so I think that's wonderful. And then finally, with regard to the bills in Olympia, not only do we need to watch the police pursuit bills, but we also need to watch the bills that are regarding density in our neighborhoods. And so that's going to affect you and your home with regard to how many houses can be built. I mean, you don't want to be living next to a 4-plex or a 6-plex. Or have people having a lot of cars in your neighborhoods when you're in single-family neighborhoods. So we can't have the legislature trying to legislate how we govern our cities. We need to have local control. So thank you very much, Mayor, and that's it for tonight.
All right, thank you very much. All right, item 7, consent agenda. We only have one item on the consent agenda. These are the minutes for the January 17th, 2023 regular meeting. and the January 21st, 2023 council retreat summary. Council President Kochmar, do you have a motion?
Got to find it. Thank you. I move approval of item A on the consent agenda.
Second.
There's been a motion and a second to approve item A on the consent agenda. Is there any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Matter passes unanimously. Item 8, council business. Item A, assessment lien for abatement at 30601 First Place Southwest. Staff report from Christina Dunlap, our code compliance officer. Christina?
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Good evening, Mayor, Council, and everyone in attendance. My name is Christina Dunlap, and I am a code enforcement officer, as you just said. Let's see. So policy question. Per Federal Way Revised Code 1.15080, number 4, should City Council approve staff to place an assessment lien on the property located at 30601 First Place Southwest, Federal Way, in the amount of $5,845.95. Background. So this property has a long documented history of code violations dating back to 2017. We recently began the abatement process in August of this year, of last year, 2022, and completed it on October 14th, and that totaled the $5,845.95. As you can see from the pictures, there's just quite a bit of junk and debris at the property, just random items. We see lawnmowers, just household goods, just random items. Here is the property once it was cleaned. The contractor did a really good job cleaning it up. The property is just, we've had to deal with this for a very, very long time. And we just, I'm just glad that we're making some progress here. So cost breakdown. So we ended up hiring BioDecon Solutions. They completed the abatement. They charged $24.50 for biohazard labor, $1,025 for dump fees, $220 for supplies, $50 in sharp disposal. Sales tax was about $378.25. The total bill from the contractor was $4,123.25. There was an additional fees that covered administrative fees, so for us, PD. And so that's what brought the total up to the, if I can keep this straight, $5,845.95. So the options to consider: approve the proposed assessment lien on the Pelkey property in the amount of $5,845.95, revise the amount and approve placement of assessment lien on the property, do not approve proposed assessment lien on Pelkey property, and provide direction to staff. The mayor's recommendation is option 1, to approve the assessment lien.
All right, before I ask for a motion, are there any questions? Deputy Mayor?
Thank you. So this property has a long history of being in this condition and having the neighborhood very, very upset with it. And I understand there was a fire there?
Correct.
So is the house inhabitable, or will it be torn down?
So yes, there was a fire this past weekend. The house was boarded up, so that's a good thing. And we have started the NOV process. And so potentially the structure may be demolished in the near future. It was badly burned.
So it's not, no one should be in there, no one should.
Correct. We posted, me and the building official went out and we posted a do not occupy on the house.
So if the neighbors see someone going in, they can call 911, and 911 will go there and hopefully remove the folks right away?
That, I believe so. I don't,
I'm sure the neighbors want to know, because they'll want to know what actions they
Yeah,
should
they
take.
they should call 911.
so just call 911. I was
Yeah.
gonna say,
Okay.
I don't know what Andy would say.
Yeah. Just if anybody, just for anybody listening, or when we tell people, just call 911.
Okay,
Okay. so
We'll take
that's
care of
good.
thank you.
Okay.
You did great.
Yeah, exactly. You did great. All right, council, any other questions? Council President?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Christina. Good job. First time we've met you. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
I'm assuming that when we need to retrieve some signs in the future, we may be talking to you. Who knows? But thank you, Christina. One thing in that neighborhood, I have doorbelled that neighborhood for activities related to the city other than I could talk about right here. But and I do know that the neighbors are very upset about that property. It's been going,
Right.
I think it was a person who owned the property, and a relative was living there.
Right.
Uh-huh.
That's
Yeah.
correct.
And so what happens now, I don't know if that's owned outright or if it's owned by the bank, or who would demolish the property? Would that end up being the city that would then go in and,
More than likely, because we would want to probably do
because
something
it-
about it quickly, just because we don't want the occupants to try to reoccupy the property, and so
Yeah, and
we'll probably
insurance-
have to eat the cost.
Yeah,
up
I
front.
think it should be, in insurance terms, it would be a nuisance, attractive nuisance, and what they call it, because you're going to have kids trying to get in the
Right.
building. So thank you. I appreciate your hard work on that, and
Okay.
I'm glad to have that property being taken care of.
Yes, thank you.
Council President, do you have, Councilmember Adobe?
I just have two questions, if I may. It seemed like it was a 60-day time period from when you started to when you finally got it cleaned up, or why does it take so long? Is that, it couldn't have taken the contractors that long to do the work? Is it just the process?
So you're saying from the
Well, your dates up here, yeah, your
the
date.
August to the October. So
Yeah.
we do have to, there's notices, there's requirements in the code.
Okay.
Where we have to give the property owner, whomever, the estate, time
Okay.
to respond.
And then, I'm assuming properties like this, we see them around the city, this is not the only offender. I mean, how many more are on the list? Is there a list of things that are going through the process right now that we're gonna see throughout
Yeah.
the rest of the year?
We have yeah, we do. We do have quite a few that we're trying to clean.
Do you have kind of a ballpark number, or is that public? I mean, how many,
Well, we've got, there's.
I mean, how many more are gonna, I mean, I'm not opposed, I think we should do this, clean them up, put the lien on, but do we have 30 more this year, 20 more, or is
That's
it
probably not-
50, or do you have
We've
an
got,
idea?
we've got a few that are frequent flyers that would get them
Right.
cleaned up. There's one in particular, actually, there's two in particular that I'm well aware of. I've already talked to Brian about, and that we'll act on. So it would be, what we can do is get maybe, how many, what do you think? What,
The goal is to always have the property owner, and Star Lake is probably in your mind. That's probably the big ones on down there on
Yeah.
272nd.
Yeah.
So the owners are in there cleaning, but we still have our process going in case they fail. And it's the egregious properties that we go after that, as we try to get the neighborhoods and get that cleaned up, and then they get neighborhoods, stuff don't get stolen and stuff like that. I don't know exact number where we're at this year, but
Okay.
we probably get 3 or 4 a year typically.
Oh, okay.
That's kinda been on
That's
the
a small
average.
number.
Yeah, it is. It hasn't been 10 or 12, because it does take just some time on those.
yeah, there's certain very chronic issues, actually, the two that immediately come to mind that I'll be asking about tomorrow. Okay. All right, council, any others? Any other questions? All right, Council President Kuchma, do you have a motion?
I move approval of the proposed assessment lien in the amount of $5,845.95.
Second.
There's been a motion, a second. Is there any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Matter passed unanimously. Congratulations, Christine. Thank you. Okay, item B, purchase of a new drum mulcher head for surface water management. Staff report from E.J. Walsh, Public Works Director.
Good evening, Mayor, Deputy Mayor, Council President, members of council. I'm going to hide the video panel thing, and then we'll start. So tonight before you, this was originally scheduled for FedRec, but it is here since, as Councilmember Tran mentioned, the FedRec meeting got canceled. So this is a drum mulcher that is used for removing vegetation, namely in surface water ponds. But it certainly has applications to use it in other areas as well. So the policy question is, should City Council authorize the purchase of a drum mulcher head for the surface water management using funds from Surface Water Management Utility, specifically the small CIP fund? So as a little bit of background, our staff clears vegetation and small trees routinely. We're required to do that to maintain water volume capacity for stormwater. During inspections over the last couple of years, we've been having more and more problems, specifically with blackberries. This is really what this targets, as well as invasive species. And working with ecology and some of the surrounding jurisdictions, we demoed a piece of equipment last summer, which was this, to go into ponds and be a little bit more aggressive as opposed to just cutting them flush with the surface. This actually goes in and removes the roots. So the proposed cost of this, and there's a picture of it at the bottom, is $60,000, including tax. The alternative is to basically use backhoes, which is a much more labor-intensive process and much slower. The funding, as I mentioned earlier, is the small CIP fund. That is $150,000 programmed annually for repairs, maintenance, and equipment in the utility. So this fits very squarely within that fund. And this is a piece of equipment that's available through the state contract. So we will be using that as the purchasing mechanism. The mayor's recommendation is authorizing staff to proceed, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Council, any questions? Deputy Mayor?
Just out of curiosity, does it take care of tree stumps?
It will not grind stumps. So it will take down small trees, like 4 to 6 inch diameter, and destroy the roots to the point that the tree will not regrow. But you can't take it out like in the median and actually grind stumps, or go find like a big pine tree stump and actually grind that out.
Okay, thanks.
All right. Councilmember Tran, do you have a motion?
Mr. Mayor, I move approval of the purchase of a new drum mulcher head using surface water utility small CIP funds.
Second.
Second.
Been a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Matter passed unanimously. Thank you. I C, purchase a new truck and trailer for the shopping cart program. EJ, once again.
So this is a little bit of a house cleaning item. So I am before you to purchase a new truck and trailer for the shopping cart program, as the mayor mentioned. And this is proposed to use previously approved program budget funds. So as a little bit of background, in the end of 2022, the City Council created a shopping cart program and approved a corresponding budget. Both of these items were within that budget. However, when the budget was actually put into the budget book, the program expenses were summarized into one line. And while these two things were in there, they were not specifically identified. Both our purchasing policy requires that anytime we expand the vehicle fleet, we have explicit approval from council, which with it being summarized, we did not have, as well as the state registration requirements for vehicles, basically to be able to get license plates. We have to have explicit council authorization, and the way it was summarized in the budget book, we don't have that. So what's before you tonight is to approve in the same amounts that they were approved in the budget in the summary, the purchase of the truck and the trailer. But to this point, we're doing it explicitly. That way we have the authority to actually get these two pieces of equipment licensed. Both of these are available through purchasing contracts. So the truck is available through the state contract. The trailer is available through the Sourcewell contract. And that does include both tax as in those numbers in front of you, as well as putting the warning lights and decals and all of the upfitting. That's not literally just the truck. So with that, the mayor recommends authorizing staff to proceed with the purchase of both the truck and the trailer using previously approved program budget funds, and I am happy to answer any questions.
All right, council, any questions? All right, and Councilor Bertrand, you have a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I move approval of the purchase of the new truck and trailer for the shopping cart program as presented.
I second the motion.
It's been a motion, a second. Is there any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Matter passed unanimously. Great, thank you. Item D, authorization to apply for Port of Seattle grant. Staff report from Tanya Carter, our Economic Development Director.
Hi, good evening, Mayor, Deputy Mayor, Council President, Council members. I'm Tanya Carter, your Economic Development Director. I am here tonight asking for permission for authorization to apply for the annual Port Economic Development Grant. I normally should have gone to FEDERAC, but due to the timing of when I started my position and also FEDERAC being canceled, it's coming before you this evening. A little bit of background, there is a staff report in the packet tonight, so there are details in there if you had a chance to look at that. This is an economic development grant that the Port of Seattle provides to cities around the region every year. It's a port grant that we have availed of in the past years. The only year in the recent past that we did not avail of it was last year in 2022. So this year, the proposal for the use of the port grant dollars is to start a program. It's a two-part program. The first part of the program, well, maybe to back up, the port grant is a $60,000 grant. It is awarded up to $60,000, and it's based on the population of the cities. So due to our population, we are able to avail of the complete $60,000 in the grant. It's a matching grant, which means that of the $60,000, we would then need to match the grant with $30,000. Those $30,000 can be combined in kind, so staff time and funds. We do have enough for both the in-staff time through salaries and benefits and the matching budget within the economic development budget this year. So the total of the grant and the matching dollars would be $90,000. So the grant lasts for the year of 2023, and what we would like to propose to use this grant for is for a two-part program. The first is an outreach for up to 500 businesses in the city. So we would reach out to them in person, start a relationship with them, and then also just ask them 3 simple questions in an anonymous survey. We would use the anonymous results to then determine what the trend was in the businesses and to then launch a small business retention expansion pilot program based on what the identified needs were from the businesses. So that is the request, that is the total funding, and that would be the ask. Are there any questions?
Council, any questions? All right, great job, Tanya. Thank you very much. Councilmember Asafa-Dawson?
Yes, I move approval of the proposed application for the 2023 Port of Seattle Development Partnership Program grant.
Second.
It's been a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Matter passed unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you,
Ordinances,
Tanya.
these are second reading. Item A, Council Bill 840, 2022, various code amendments. And, one second. Would the city clerk please read the ordinance title?
Council Bill 840, 2022, various code amendments, an ordinance of the City of Federal Way, Washington, relating to various amendments to Title 18 subdivisions and 19 zoning and development, amending Federal Way Revised Code 1810-030, 1905-010, 1970-060, 1970-150, 1975-060, 1980-140, 1911-010, 19-115-050, 19-115-090, 19-125-160, 19-130-020, 19-145-140, 19-145-440, 19-195-015, 19-200020, 19-200045, 19-200100, 19-205-010, 19-205-040, 19-205-070, 19-205-080, 19-215-050, 19-215-070, 19-215-150, 19-220-050, 19-220-080, 19-220-100, 19-220-105, 19-225-055, 19-225-070, 19-225-075, 19-230-055, 19-230-060, 19-230-065, 19-240-085, 19-240-095.
All right. Yeah, exactly. Councilor Adobe, do you have a motion?
I move approval of the proposed ordinance.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Matter passes unanimously. Item B, Council Bill 841, creation of a city clerk department. Would the city clerk please read the ordinance title?
Council Bill 841, creation of a city clerk department, an ordinance of the City of Federal Way, Washington, relating to the creation of a city clerk department, removing Federal Way Revised Code 211030 and adding new section 219 to Title II.
All right, Council President, Deputy Mayor Honda.
I move approval of the proposed ordinance.
Second.
There's been a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? All those in favor?
I heard her read that again. Aye.
Opposed?
Congratulations.
All right, it's official. Congratulations. All right, we are now on to council reports. Councilmember Assefa Dawson.
I have nothing to report, sir.
All right,
Thank you.
Councilmember Norton.
I would just like to say thank you to the staff for the council retreat, because the first one that I attended was super boring. And this one was very interesting, and I was engaged the entire time. So thank you so much. And I know it was extra work for you, but it was so much better. So I really hope next year that we don't get a consultant and that you guys do it again, and, you know, maybe we'll get ice cream and cake for you or something. I don't know. But thank you. It was awesome.
Very
Appreciate
good.
it.
Thank you. Councilmember Tran.
I have nothing, Mayor. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Councilmember Walsh.
I also think that the staff deserves especially ice cream.
A certain kind, albeit.
A certain kind, obviously, so.
I have
so.
a flavor to recommend.
Yeah.
Cherry with, anyway. All right. Hey, just a couple of things. With the legislature in session, there's been a number of bills which would affect the city. A couple of weeks ago, I took the opportunity to testify against SB 5190, which would take, it addresses some things that may be needed, but it takes control out of the city and gives it to the state. And, as far as housing density and things like that. And I think it would be a mistake for it, mistake with it. I also spoke with the Senate Minority Leader about it, and he's actually one of the co-sponsors, but he recognizes there's problems with the bill and is open to any ideas that can help. So anyway. Also, as some of you know, I'm quite involved with the Federal Way Senior Center Food Bank, and I just wanted to very briefly share how it has been helping the residents of Federal Way. This last year, there were 25,000 visits to the food bank through the year. Of those, 3,565 unduplicated individuals, and 77% of them came from the city of Federal Way. And so it is doing a lot for the city of Federal Way. And also it provides food for a number of senior apartments here in Federal Way, including the the Celebration Place Shag Apartments, the Willamette Shag Apartments, Tradition Housing, and also and another one that I can't even read my own writing on that I should know, so anyway, so. But, the Traditions, I already said Traditions. So anyway, so it does help the city a lot. And so a shout out to them for the support that they give the residents of Federal Way. And for me, that is it. Wish me luck on Valentine's Day.
Yeah, here, here. All right, Councilmember Dovey.
Yeah, just two comments. On the flip side, House Bill 1110, which is the House version of screwing up the zoning in every city, everybody should call their legislatures and people, let them know that that is not good, that the state gets to zone what goes on in our neighborhoods instead of the city. And so the flip side of the Senate bill is the House bill, and it would be very good if our citizens called our legislators down there and let them know maybe that they don't like that. Secondly, May 20th, Marine Hills is going to have their annual parade. I was called by the president of Marine Hills Pool Association to make sure everybody up here and out here puts it on their calendar so they can be in one of the longest parades in Federal Way that's been going the longest. I don't know what kind of cars they're going to put people in, but they always have cars. The marching bands will be there, and so I wanted to make sure everybody gets that on their calendar way in advance. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Deputy Mayor.
Thank you. Isn't it the 60th year?
It is the 60th year.
So we need to do a proclamation
And
too.
they're also going to have a 60th year party bash
Yeah.
sometime. So, but this will be the parade, starts right in front of Darren McDonald's house and goes up, used to be the woods.
Yeah, exactly. Very good.
Exciting.
Very good. Do you have anything?
Yes, I do. Youth and activities. So at one of our meetings that we've had with trying to plan a council, school board combined meeting, I asked President Davis of the school board why the school district can't keep the gyms open on after school and in the evenings so that the kids can play in the gyms. We used to do that when I was a little girl. And it was open gym. She said there was a cost to it, but my feeling is that it's in the students' neighborhood. Their parents can pick them up there much easier than driving to the community center. And you keep kids active and involved. You know, high school gets out at 1:55, 1:50. And that's a lot of time to, if you don't have a job, to go home or, you know, if you can just keep them in school, let them go down and play basketball, volleyball, whatever it is. At school, I bet some of those kids would do that. So anyway, she said there is a cost involved to it, but I still think we should be really urging the school district to keep their gyms open for all ages in the schools. And, you know, they're beautiful gyms and they've got the equipment, the staff knows the students, and the students are probably more comfortable playing there than they would be transported to the community center. But I do, when we first started getting federal money during the pandemic, I did ask if we could use some of that money to have open gyms at the community center at least once a month. And nothing really came out of that, but I still think that's a good idea where we can have maybe the pool open, the gyms open, just for families to come in maybe once a month on a Saturday or a Sunday. And, you know, it is a community center. I realize it is a business and we do expect it to be making money, but it is a community center that, and I think that the community at least one time a month should at least work for that. But also, you know, Lynn Long was here, she's still here talking about Camp Kilworth. There's a lot of work that needs to be done down there at Camp Kilworth, and it would be really great if maybe our young people and our families could get down there and get their hands dirty and clear the trails and work in the buildings that need to be restored. It's not a city, we don't own Camp Kilworth, and it's not gonna be something that the city plans, but I really think that it would be beneficial for especially the youth to get out there. They can learn new skills, new friends, get some exercise, and get service hours probably, because I know last Thursday at Federal Way High School when I was there, we were trying to, students were reminded that they needed service hours to graduate. And so there were lots of things going on around the school to get the kids service hours. So maybe, that can be advertised to the youth. So,
And they want to start that in March, that's next month.
yeah, so,
They want to start in March, especially the invasive needs to be eradicated.
yeah, I think it's a good opportunity. As to the arts and the money that should be going to the arts, we do need to be supporting our performing art groups. I know when the PAC was built, there was an expectation that they would be able to use the facility. It is expensive, but I think that as a council, we need to discuss how we can make this more available to our performing art groups so that we can keep them viable and able to entertain people here in Federal Way. And I am a member of the Federal Way Seroptimus Club. We are having our second annual food drive for the Federal Way Senior Center. We are collecting food throughout the entire month of February, and we are suggesting canned soup, pasta, beans, fruit cups, applesauce, pet food, canned vegetables, snacks, peanut butter, tuna fish, anything that anyone going, anyone might want to eat, anything that you might want to eat, someone else is going to want to eat. We have a drop-off location at the Toole Library because Amanda Miller, who runs that, is a member of she's our vice president at the Seroptimus. And so you can drop off anytime at the Toole Library, just drive up, someone will take it out of your car, you don't even have to get out of your car, and then we take it over once a week to the Federal Way Senior Center. And we will be doing this every February, but we'd love for your participation this year. And I was going to ask the mayor if I could have a box downstairs to donate food.
Of course.
Awesome. So thank you very much. And
Do they need pet foods also?
pardon? Pet food, yes. Thank you.
Just coordinate with Bill.
If you'd like, you're also welcome to have a box of Sub-Zero, if
Oh,
you'd like.
awesome. Thank you.
Okay, Council President.
Thank you very much, Mayor. So I'll make this quick. Thank you, Keith Niven, for the Heartland presentation last night at the very long land use meeting, which, by the way, was 3.5 hours. Holy cow. But I'm just amazed that they told us that commercial at the base of a residential building was not something that developers wanted to fund. And it's the first time I've heard that, so thank you. It was really informative. Thank you to the 400 people who signed a petition regarding the Stevenson Motel. We do read those, and we'll take that to heart, do what we can. And thank you to all you folks who are still in the meeting until the last. And Diaper Drive is going to be March 18th. Cheryl Colhurst will be putting that on at Fred Meyer from 10 to 2 p.m., 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Communities and Schools Breakfast will be this Friday, March 10th at 7 o'clock at TJ High School. And Anna, I think you're still in the audience. I can't see that far, but I think you're there. You are. We will be having, Deputy Mayor and I will be meeting with the school board president and Quentin Morris, school board director, but our regular meeting. We've been able to continue meeting with them. We haven't quite had them agree to a public meeting, but we're meeting with them on a regular basis. So our next meeting is the 16th, and I will bring up what you've told me about the assaults 3 and 4. That's shocking. And so just promising you that I will do that. Thank you, Mayor.
All right, thank you. With that, we are adjourned.